Hello, welcome to my YouTube video. It's been a long time. I'm very sorry about that. I know I was quite busy because of my job and daily routine, but I will try my best. From now on, I will be regular. I have a lot of projects, but because of my time, I am unable to find the time to record the videos. But still, from now on, I will try my best to be regular. So let's see the demo. Today we will be building the chat app using the Vue.js, Socket.io, and Node and Express. So let's see the demo, and then I will explain how things are working. So first of all, let's enter the username, for example Hafiz, and we can join the chat. Just see that if we don't enter the username, it will be disabled. So we have to enter the username Hafiz and join chat app. This is the UI. It's not beautiful, I know, but in this video my core focus is to show you how we can work with the Socket.io and Node and Express and Vue.js, so you guys can build the real-time application using both of these. So let's send the message. For example, I can say let's join with another room as well. For example, I can enter here as well, localhost, and if I enter here I can say Javed. Keep in mind the room should be the same. View installation we have different. I will show you why this is that. And join chat app. Just if I come here, see we have the notification by the bot. Javed has joined the chat, so the username. So if I say hello Javed, if I send hello Javed, here is the this is how, because this is the it is this because it's sent by me, so that's why this is the blue. If I come here, it's the green because it's kind of the Javed is receiving. So if I say hello Hafiz, you can also see the active class. For example, the current user is Javed, and if I come here current user is Hafiz. So this drop down. Now if Javed leave this chat, this room, we will have the notification here just like the join. For example, if I cut here, see Javed has left the chat, so it's kind of the real-time notification. So now let's enter by different room, for example. So in case of different room, we will not have the this notification because it's total different, you can say, the group. So there is, for imagine that we have the two groups, one is for the chemistry class, one is for the computer class. So if we add the new user within the computer class, is it make sense to send the notification to the chemistry class as well? There is no purpose of that. So just imagine that if I add the new room, and if I say Hafiz 1, we don't have any message here, and there is no notification for that as well. Now if I from here, if I go to another browser, and from here if I join using the view guide, you will see the notification for that as well. If I say Hafiz 1, not Hafiz 1, Hafiz 2, and here I choose view guide, join chat, you will see the notification here. Before going to the code part, I will explain how things are working, because I checked the YouTube videos. Most of them were not explaining how things are working behind the scenes. So they were starting the direct code part. So instead of that, I will try to explain things, how things are working, so you guys can also use within their own projects. So first of all, there are two protocols we will discuss here: WebSockets and HTTP. Both of them are communication protocol, communication between client and server. So what is client and server? In simple terms, I will not be, I will try to be simple as much as I can. So I will not explain heavy terms. So in simple terms, you can consider client as browser. This is the, for example, this page is, you can consider as this whole Google, you can consider this Chrome, you can consider as your browser basically. You can consider as client, and server basically your backend code. Just simple, just two simple things. Your backend code is, you can consider as your server, where the backend code is running, and in the client is its simple browser, your browser. In HTTP, what we do, our client will send the request to the server, and then server will send the response. It's kind of one-way communication. Server without any request, server will not send any response. So it's, you can see this diagram. Client is sending the request to the server, and then server is sending us the response back to the client. Imagine that I'm opening the YouTube, so I'm sending, when I will click that, I will send the request to the YouTube backend code, and then YouTube backend code will send me the response, and that response will be shown by the client. For example, I just send the request to the backend code of the YouTube, and now backend code of the YouTube is sending me the response, and that response is basically, let's wait for that. So that's why it is taking time. Yeah. So basically, this is the response from the backend of the YouTube. So now let's close that. So I hope you guys understand that. But in WebSocket is that we will have one connection between client and the server, but both can send the request and response. It's kind of two-way communication. You can see this diagram. Client can also request, client can do the request plus response, and same goes to the server. It can send the request and response. It's kind of, for example, when we are in WhatsApp, you can take the example of WhatsApp. Whenever we have the new user within the when we have the new message, so we will get the notification, although we are not sending any request to the backend code is automatically sending the notification. So that's you can understand. Now after that, so these are the terms basically we will use. So I will try to explain that. IO, socket, what are these? So basically these are the functions we will use. So IO, it's like a box, and in each box we have sockets. So this you can consider as this whole box as IO, and these three you can consider as sockets. What is socket? Socket has basically two things. You can consider as this one as client and this one as server. So socket is, you can say, is made up of two things. One is client and one is server. And also keep in mind, each socket has its kind of unique ID as well. So what is room? Room is kind of group. Just like in WhatsApp or in Messenger, we have different groups. For example, if you are in university, you guys have different groups for different classes or subjects. For example, we have different we have group for the chemistry, we have a group for the CS, we have a group for the programming class. So in each group we send according to particular nodes. For example, in chemistry group we will send the chemistry nodes, in CS group we will send the CS nodes. You can consider room for, and it has unique sockets as well. So what is emit? Emit is basically event triggering. In simple terms, it is event triggering. Imagine that I am sending the message here, hello. So when I'm sending that, I am triggering the event. So I will use the emit for that. Send that. So it's emit. I emitted the some particular event. You will understand when when we will move to the code part. For now, just try to remember that, or you can simply keep in mind. You will understand this thing completely when we will do this by code. But in simple term, it's, we are triggering some event. What is on is basically the event listener of that particular emit thing. So if I send the if I trigger that event, obviously I have to listen that event as well. And how I am listening to that, just see the demo here. I trigger the event hello, and in this browser I am on, I'm listening that event in this browser. What is the broadcast? Broadcast is basically when we want to inform all the sockets except which did the IO. So imagine that I am sending the, so try to here see, this is basically whenever this user will leave the message. Let's use another user as well, for example localhost, the same group view guide. Then you will be able to understand what basically the broadcast means. Here basically it means when we have the new socket here, right, and when I will use the broadcast, basically it will send the event to all these three events, all these three sockets. So now you will be able to, for example, Hafiz 3 and view guide join tab. So now I have the Hafiz join here as well, Hafiz join here as well. So I am broadcasting this event to these two because it belong to the same room. So this is the concept of broadcast. If we want to inform all the users except that is joining just now, we can use the broadcast. And what is two is basically to, if we want to access some particular socket using the ID, we can use the to event. So now let's come to the code part, and you will I hope you will understand these things properly when we will use the in code. I have the empty folder here. You can ignore these folders. So in one terminal we will use the client code, and in one terminal we will use the server code. So let's create one directory mkdir. We can say server. See, we have this. No, instead of that, first of all let's create this folder. I can say node chat. Let's move that to node chat. Yeah, and I can move to the cd node chat. So, and here let's also move to the cd node chat. Now in order to create the client, let's come to the Beautify. As I am using the Beautify, I can come to the installation and let's create that project using the Beautify. For server, let's run this command npm init -y. So basically it will, what it did, it created this simple package.json. Oh, sorry about that, it should not be like that. Let's delete that. Because it should be within the server, not like this. cd server, and now here I can run this npm init -y. Let's clear that, and here within the server we have this one. And for this Beautify, let's come to this, and I am using the yarn here, so I can say yarn create Beautify. Let's run this project, this command, and we will wait for that. Project name should be client. We will use the page as well, so I can say base, default, and routing. We will use the TypeScript, yes. I will use the yarn. Now let's wait for the installation. You see within the node chat, we have client, and when we have the server. We are done with the installation of the client part. I can run that yarn dev. Oh, I think it's yarn run serve. After that, yeah. Oh, cd. I have to go to the cd client. Yes, I can clear that. And now if I run yarn dev, we will be able to see the live project here. Localhost 3000. So this is the basic setup. Now let's move to the server part. So let's install some dependencies. I can say yarn npm install express cors socket.io. We have to install these dependencies, npm express cors and socket.io. After that, let's install nodemon as well. Nodemon, for it will watch our backend code. So npm install minus npm install nodemon minus d. It will be dev dependency basically. See, dev dependency. Now let's create within the server. Let's create the index.js file, index.js. So I can come to the package.json, and here I can say instead of main file we have this, and then I can say our type is basically module. Yeah, module. By default it's let's remove that. By default it's basically CommonJS, so that's why. And here within the scripts, instead of test, I can say start for, I can say node server, and for dev I can say dev, I can say nodemon server. Yeah, if I save that and let's come here within the index, I can say log backend. If I save that and if I run npm run dev, yeah, see, this is the backend, so it means our index.js file is running. So now let's remove that and let's say see our, so basically it is watching this file and it will rerun. First of all, let's import the express. Import express from express. Let's import server from socket.io. Also let's import create server from http. Let's remove that. Create server from http, and then let's also import cors from cors. So basically why we are using the cors, because our backend is on another port and our client is on another port, so that's why it's important to use this cors, otherwise we will face the error. So now let's say const app is equal to express, our express code, then I can say const server is equal to create server, and we will pass this app, this express code, and then I can say const io. What is io? Io is basically this box, if you remember. So this whole box we will create that. Const io is equal to new server, and then within I have to pass this server, this one, and then after that I can pass different options. Here I have to say cors, and then I can say origin is basically where our front end code is running. I can copy this port, I can paste that. After that I can say methods, which methods we can use. Basically it will be either we will use the get or post, get and post. After that credentials should be true, yeah. Now obviously we have to use this IO. Where we can use that, I can say let's IO dot on. If you remember what was that on is basically event listener. I can say on connection, this you have to remember this event on connection. What should we do? I can for now just simply I should say we will also receive this. Basically if you remember I told you in emit, when we trigger the event we send some data, and in on, when we listen that particular event we will receive that data, this the data sent by the emit. So that's why we will receive this here, the socket as well, socket. And I can say just simple login message here, log WebSocket connected, and here I can say socket dot id. Yeah, let's save that. And obviously in order to preview that I can say let's run this. I can say const port is equal to 3001, or if we have this env variable I can say process dot env dot port. We have that, otherwise run the backend on here in 3001. After that let's say server, not, if you remember you should not use the app, instead we will use this server. So we should be listening to server instead of app. Server dot listen, and here port, and after that I can say our server is running, log server is running. Let's save that, and you will be able to see the changes here. Server is running, so it means our backend is running. Now obviously in order to create this, if you remember I told you we should have one connection. Our server code is running, but we didn't build the connection between server and client for now. So obviously we have to make some changes in the client side. Now let's come to the client side. Within the source, let's come to the app dot. Now we can keep that, and let's come to the pages, and in pages in the index.view file I can remove this hello world, and instead I can simply say div, and here I can say hello world. But core thing is will be here. So what should we do here? So first of all let's import some stuff from the view. Import from view ref on mounted and on before unmount. Yes. After that here we also have to install this socket IO thing, socket IO client thing. So let's install that. Let's disconnect this thing, and I can install yarn add socket dot io dot client. By the way, all of these things are mentioned here. You can come here, socket IO. Basically socket IO is built on the WebSocket, so that's why you can consider as the library built on top of the socket IO. So if I come here within the get started not in socket, you will be able to see the code. See, I'm installing this in the client side. This is the example of, this is some backend code, and this is some server client code. So that's why I'm installing this socket io.client. Yarn add socket.io client. Let's install that. We are done with installation. Now let's import that. Import from socket io socket io client. Yeah, what I have to import IO and type, basically type socket. Yeah. So now let's define that const socket is equal to ref, and the type is socket, and here we have first its value is undefined. So what we say on mounted, what should we do? We should define the socket value. How we can define that? I can say socket dot value is equal to IO, and here I have to give the this backend port code. So I can say, let's copy this one, and instead of 3001 it should be 3001. Yeah. And now let's run this, and you will be able to see the basically the connection between these two. And project is running, this is also running. Now if I open that here, I can close that, and this one as well, localhost 3000. You will see that here it should be okay. I think we are facing some, because if you see there is some kind of error, because it is saying I am unable to connect this. So I think there is something wrong with the backend code. Let's come here, and if I see, if you see, instead of here it's 10 is extra, so that's why I'm facing this error. So let's remove that, and if I save that now, and if I come here again, and now we are facing this socket error, cause error. Why it is happening? Let's refresh that. If it's still happening, we can fix that. Okay, we have that still. So I think it's because of this. Maybe I can remove that. If I save that, yeah, I think that error is gone now. If I refresh, yeah, error is gone, and you can see that WS connected and there is socket ID. See, this is what I was saying. On whenever we have the connection, if you see, whenever we have the connection, I am saying that just log in that. I can remove that, this one as well. So it was extra. If I remove that, we will have this new connection. Even if I open this new local host, for example, let's open localhost 3000, we will have the new ID, just when we have the new connection. See, we have this new connection, and we will, let's close that, and you can see this disconnect block as well. On before mount, I'm saying disconnect socket.value.disconnect on the disconnection. Now let's come to the further thing. For UI, I will just simply copy paste some code. So because we should mainly focus on in the function part. So by the way, you guys can also get this code from the GitHub. The link is in the description. So it's quite simple. It's not that complicated. It's pretty simple. So this is, I think it's extra, and if I save that, and I can basically explain that we have this simple v container, we have the v form, and on submit function it's then we have the v card maximum width, we have the margin and paddings, then we have the v card title, where we are defining this heading and icon. Then we, within the v text, we have two simple fields, v text field and v select fields, and rooms is its simple array. And within the here within the button, color is primary, but we are disabling if we don't have this username or state, if or room, because these are required field. You should have username and room. So the variant is outline and submit. And if I preview that, this is how it will look like. For example, if I enter H, now this is enabled. And on submit, what I'm doing, I'm just simply redirecting user to the chat room. So now let's also create this chat page as well. Chat dot view, and here we will also copy paste some code. This code is also very simple. First of all, let's define the router, but it will be auto router, so we don't have to do that anything extra. So for example, if I go to the edge and if I join, obviously on submit, I should be redirected. Okay, I think it's refreshing if we have this new page. So first of all, let's wait for that. I will explain what exactly this code is. Basically, you can copy this code. It's quite simple. But still, if you don't understand anything within this code, you can ask me in the description and I will be very happy to help you regarding that. Now let's go to the edge and Hafiz. See, this is quite simple. This is Hafiz one. These are dummy users basically. And what I'm doing here, we have the simple card, and the card padding is 5, and 5 is basically 5 multiplied 4, you can consider 20 pixel. Then we have this card title, and card title basically padding from the bottom is 5 20 pixel. And then we have this icon, and this basically this is the flex, and then the overall is justifies space between, so that's why this button is at the end. And what it exactly is showing, the query dot room, the room name, basically view installation. So that's why after leave we have this view installation, and after that we have this divider, basically this divider. And after that we have two parts, this sidebar and this chat part, this sidebar and this chat part. So in sidebar, basically I'm just currently on the top we have this chat room number and this current room. For now it's not the this one, but it's not this one, but it's just the dummy one. And after that we have the users, and users is basically simple. Within the user we have the ID, username and room, and we are just looping through. And next we have this chat, and for chat we have this simple height. And after that we have this we are looping through, and we have different conditions. If chat.username is equal to this view chat app admin, so basically this is the bot message, so that's why I'm saying, so it should be centered in case of this, so that's why it is centered. But it should be justify, and if username is equal to query.username, if the current user is sending the basically I can show you. If I here instead of username Hafiz 2, if I say h simple, you will be see it is at the end, because this is the current user. It's simple to differentiate between the sender and the receiver. And after that I am saying it should be start if username is equal to current user, the query user, so that's why it is the start. Bot message is at the sender, if I'm sending that, that's why I'm at the end, and receiver is basically at the start. After that I'm just giving different background to the different messages. If you see, bot message have red background, the receiver has this green background, and the sender has this blue background. So these are the different classes. And then we have this simple on the top we have this username. After that we have this time, and then we have this simple text message. Now, and at the end we have this simple input and this submit button. So now let's come to the functional part and fun part. So let's come to the backend code, and this first step will be to install the moment library for time management. I can say your npm install moment. Let's install that, and let's clear, and I can again run the project npm run dev. Yes, server is running. And now let's close this client stuff, and I can come here within this server, and I can create one file called utils.js. So basically, as we are not using the any database, so that's why here I will manage some users. How I can do that? First of all, let's import movement from movement. After that, I can say export const bot message. Basically, the message, if you guys see, this message basically. So bot, I can say bot message is equal to view welcome to view chat app. I'm exporting that. Then I can say export const users is equal to this one, and here we will have some function. Imagine that first function should be, if we join, some user is joining the chat, join chat. So the name is export function user join, and we are passing the user here. We will receive the user from here, and I just have to simply push the user within that. So I can say users dot push this particular user in the array, and simply return user. Yeah. After that, we have another function, and it is format message. So basically, to format that particular message, I can say export const. I know these things will not make any sense, but just give me some 2 minutes. After that, these function will make whole sense. Format message, and here we will receive two things: username and text, and we will format some message for our own format. What I will return? I will return username, text, and time. So basically, in time we will have movement and format. So basically, the format will be h. First of all, we will have hour, then we will have the minute, and then we will have the AM or PM depending upon that. Then we will have another function, export function get room users. So for example, if we have the group CS group, imagine that we have the WhatsApp group of CS, group name is CS, and I want to get all the users of that group. So that's why we will use this function get room users, and we will pass the room here, and what we will return? We will return return users dot filter based on this room. We will have user, and we will return user dot room is equal to room. Return those user which has the same room depending upon this room. For example, if I pass the CS here, so it will return the CS user, all the user which has CS room. And then we will have another function if user is leaving the particular this instead of joining, if user is leaving that our whole room. Export function user leave, and here we will have the ID, and I can simply say const index is equal to users dot find index, and user dot ID is equal to ID. Find the index of that user according to this ID. if index is not is equal to -1, if index cannot is equal to -1, what should we do? We should return that. We should remove that user from our array. For example, we have 10 users and user 9 is is trying to remove from our system. So we will just simply, first of all, we will find the index of that and then we will remove him. I can say users dot supplies index 1 and this. Basically we will return that as well. So let's save that. Where we have this error. Oh, it's not const, it's basically function. Export function. Yeah, let's save that. And now let's come to this index.js file and let's import all of these. Import user join format message port message get room users and user leave. So all the connection basically logic, it should be within this this method. We can't do that after that. So it's kind of, you can say, the basic protocol of that or basic syntax of that. We have to do that within this block. So first event should be the event we will be listening to. It will be socket dot on if we have joined room. When user is joining that room, what should we do? Remember that this on is basically event listener, so it means this join room will be basically triggered from the client side. Obviously, just try to imagine that we have the web app, right? And if some user want to join that particular thing, obviously it will come from the client side. It will send the request to the backend. So that's why it will be triggered from the client side and we will listen that in the server. Join room. What should we do? Obviously, I also, if you remember, I said that we will have the payload as well here. So payload, we will receive some data within this event. And what should we do with that? I can say, first of all, let's create that user based on this payload. I can say const user is equal to, it should be, so user join. So in user join, if you remember, it is the function where we are just pushing that. So in this users array, in basically in our database. So in user join, I can send this user detail data, this the payload data. I can say payload, and it will have some ID as well. I can say ID should be socket dot ID. So, and we will receive this user, and what should I do? I should just simply say socket dot join user dot room. So what does this whole code mean? So let's come to this here within, not here, within the chat. So if you see, our user will have these particular things, the properties. Users, it will have the ID, it will have the username, and it will have the room. So room will basically, it will be unique. So imagine that there is new user and it has this ID. uh, it will not have this ID, it will have these two things, username and Hafiz, and I am triggering that thing from the client side. And if I come here, first of all, I'm listening that, and I will receive here within the payload, I will receive two things, username and basically room. So here I'm saying take username and room, and also take this unique ID. So it now user will have three things. then I am pushing that to our database, basically temporary database within that, and then I'm returning that this user. So now in user we will have three things. We have the username, room, and ID, and then I am basically saying join that room. Imagine, now let's come to this diagram. So imagine that we have these two sockets and they are the group of the CS, and this is the socket of these sockets belong to the chemistry group. Now the room is unique, obviously. So imagine that the new user which is coming from the client side, he want to join the chemistry group, so it will be here, it will, it will made within that block 1 and 2, the second will be here. And if the room name is CS, then it will be with these two blocks. I hope you will, understand this point. Now the next, what is next event? So it's the broadcast. So after the joining room, obviously I have to tell that, imagine that it was the CS room, so now we have the third one right here with these two. Obviously we should inform these two that you guys have new companion. So let's do that now. I can say socket dot, now we will broadcast that. So because broadcast purpose is that to send the all other message that you guys have a new companion, broadcast, and then we will basically 2 and 2, it should be room user dot room, and then I can say emit. They should, now we will send the message to all of them. Message event name is message. We will be able to listen this thing using this message query. And what should we send? If you remember, with emit we are triggering some event with some data, so that's why we'll send some data here as well. So it should be format message, and message should be bot message, and the text should be user dot username has joined the chat. Now let's see these two previews in the client side as well. Then you will be able to understand this whole thing. So we have some error. Let's see what's the error. So it should not be utils, simple utils, it should be utils.js. So if I save that, the error should be gone. So now let's do the same code in the client side, then you will understand this my whole point, because it's I know it's quite confusing. So first of all, let's remove all of these dummy chats first of all, and this as well. These are simple types defined by me, chat and username. So now let's come to the mounted part, and basically I think we should copy that stuff from here, this stuff. Let's cut that, and I can save that, and let's come here and I can simply paste that here. Oh yeah, ref is kind of duplicated. I can cut that here and let's paste that here. So let's remove this one, and now we have simple things. So this is the socket. First of all, let's get the username, and because you see in home page in submit we are sending the two things, username and room, and I said these two are required fields, so that's why here we will check that. Within the chat page we will check that const username and room route dot query. Route dot query as partial. Partial is basically chat. Here we have to set chat. So basically the query type is basically according to the chat. So here we will check that if we have that, if username is undefined or room is undefined or null, basically room, what should we do? We should push back user to the home page. Router dot push, I think I have to install that. I have to use router, I have to import that use router, and here with that I can copy and I can say router and router. I can simply router push that to the home page. Just if I save that, you guys can see that if I come here and without any simple username, it will automatically redirect back me to the home page. Just see that if I don't enter anything here, it will redirect me to the home page. So that was the purpose of that. So now after that, after this condition, obviously now let's create the connection. So what should I do? Socket dot value dot, if you remember, what is this? On. So it means it is the listener, so it means I have to emit that from here. So I will emit that. Emit, what's the name of that? Join room. Join room, I will say emit, so it means join room, and I will send some data. So what's the data? If you remember, I said it's the username and then it's the room. I will send these two things within this function. After that, if you see, we are kind of broadcasting that. So let's listen to this message function. So after that, I will listen that. In backend, we have some kind of error, user is not defined, and that's kind of, let's come here. Oh, it should be within the join room, not here. So this line should be, so basically this, it is saying it is not defined. So let's remove that to up, and now the error should be gone. In order to see this in live, let's here log as well, so you will be able to understand log. I should say here in join room event. If I save that and let's see that the thing in, if I enter here office and if I join that, see in join room, so it means we trigger this thing join event from this from the client side, then we listen this thing in the backend, and we are here. So now next step should be within the chat. If you come here, I should show the for example the our what is current room. Current room is basically view installation. So this page should only have those users which belong to the view installation. So only view installation member should be here. So that's why we have to trigger some events from the backend side. So because we don't have access to users in the front end side. So now let's come to the here in the backend code. So after that I can say io dot to and user dot room, because I need this room user. So that's why I'm accessing to that, and I have to emit what I have to emit. I need room users, so I can say room users, and it means I have to send some data as well. So what I have to send, I have to send room, I can say user dot room, and in order to get the users, I can say users, we have this function get room users, and here I have to pass the user room, user dot room. So in order to access that room, I am using this two. If you remember, the purpose of two was to accessing that some particular socket or some particular room. Then I am emitting the event room users, and then within the room user I am sending two things: room, particular room, and the users of that room, particular room. You can consider, you can, in order to understand that, you can, in mind, you can have the concept of the instead of room you can have the concept of the group, WhatsApp group, and users, the users of that particular group. So we are emitting that. Now obviously we have to listen that in the client side. So in client side, after that I can say socket dot value dot on, socket dot value dot on. If you remember, we have that on because we are emitting from the backend. So now let's copy that room users, and here I can say not, I think it's because it can be undefined as well, so that's why it is giving me the error. And I can say on room users, and here obviously we will receive some response, if you remember. So the response type is response type will be basically, if you see, we are sending two things. First it's room, and then we have the users. So room type is basically this I'm defining type because of the TypeScript. I can say room is basically string, and users is basically user type. This type we will have this user. So we will receive that, and after that I can say we should do two things. First of all, I can say users dot value is equal to response dot users, and then I can say here I can also define here the current room, another variable const current room is equal to ref, and it's empty, but I can say current room dot value is equal to response dot room. So now you will be able to understand the rooms list here, and also in the current room I should, instead of this current room, I should say current room, and in users you will see the chat here. So if I save that, see, current room is view installation and users is Hafiz. After that, instead of the room user, I can say socket dot value. I can copy that. I can say, instead of, if you see, for broadcasting we are emitting this message thing, I can copy that. I can say on message what I'm sending with that function. I'm sending this basically the format message. And if you see, format message will return basically three things: username, text and time, and it's same as the chat type. So that's why here the response will be, I can simply say message, and the response will be according to the chat. And here I can simply push that. I can say chat dot value, I think it's chats, not chat. I can say chats dot value dot push and simple message. Let's save that, and we will see the bot message. No, let's close this, and we can create new connection. 3000. view installation Office 1. We joined the okay. Let's rerun this whole thing. Create new server. Let's close this because I think our connection is not closing, so that's why we have that. So let's create one now and let's create H1 join chat. We have one user obviously. Now let's create another connection 3000. H2, keep in mind this room should be same, and here we should have H2 has joined the chat. We will fix basically this, you don't have to worry about that. So now we have this bot message as well. Now remember, if I join by another group, we will not have this trigger message here. See, we have the new users, and now if I create another user, let's create H3. Here users are automatically see increasing, and each client has the unique current user based on this username here as well. And also if you see, we have notification as well, H3. Here we have H3 as well, here we H2 as well. So that's the whole thing. I hope you guys understand this whole flow. It was the, you can say, the first part. I can again explain that first thing will happen from the client side. We will join the chat page, and after the connection build, we will trigger this emit event join room. And in client side, so we will push this user to the our database. For now we are just using our array, and after that we will broadcast this message basically to whole other users. So that's why this we are receiving this message whenever we are creating new connection, and it should be with the group should be the same. So that's why we are receiving that, and after that we are triggering some event from the client side. Why? So the client should have the new user list of, because this room was joined by another user. So that's why we are triggering from the this side, from the backend side. And in client side, what we are doing, we are listening to that thing, and we are just updating the users and current room thing. So now let's come to the more deep. By the way, this should not be in the left. Let's fix that, why this is happening. If I come to the username, it's called view chat app admin. So I think here is the mistake. Instead of bot message, we should have the bot name. So first of all, let's come here, and it should be not like this. Let's come here. I can copy this view chat app admin. Let's view chat app and admin. Yeah, I think it's okay. So let's copy that. I can copy that, I can save that, and I can come here. So I can say, instead of bot message, I can say welcome bad bot name. I can save that. Let's copy that. Obviously it will give me the error. Let's, instead of bot message, I can say bot name, and here instead of bot message I can say bot name. So if you save that, I hope the error will be fixed. So it should be fixed. Obviously we have to refresh that. We can close that, and I can come here, I can simply refresh that. And if I join H1, if we join that, and let's join by another, so we will be able to see that. H2, we join, we should have this message, and it should be centered. Yeah. And another thing, why it's not red, because we changed this. So let's change that here as well. I can simply copy that, and here just replace that. And if I save, it should be red. No, it's not, but let's do another because it is rendered, that's why. And let's h3, and if I come here we have this one. Oh, 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 see, it should be like that here as well. I missed one condition. If I save, yeah, now it is red. Yeah, finally. Now let's also handle the leave event as well. In leave we also have to do this repetitive stuff. So let's come to the leave. So for leave, keep in mind we have to do within this connection block. We can't do that outside. I know it's confusing, but this is the basic stuff. I can simply say socket dot on. So basically this is the built-in basically a connection. Disconnect, socket on, disconnect. What should I do? First of all, we have the what is on is event listener, so it will have some response as well. So but there is no need of the response. What should we do within that? First of all, let's do const user, and let's get the user leave function. What is user leave function? User leave function is basically returning us that user, basically the one which we are removing that. So let's do that, and here we have to pass basically socket dot id. So we will get that user, and after that what should we do? We should send the message to each client to the to broadcast. So what should we, I can simply copy that. I can say if user, what should we do? We should just simply broadcast that. We should tell that this guy has left the chat. So instead of we just simply we should do the to, not broadcast. We should simply use the to. We should tell the to that particular room that user has left the chat, has left the chat. Now obviously if left the chat, now we have to update the room users as well. So we will copy that, and after this thing we simply paste that, and to user dot room dot emit room users, and we will pass the room and we will get the room users. So now let's save that, and I hope everything will work fine. Now let's come here, and if I close that, see h3 has left the chat. Now if because h2, this is the h2 just take that. Oh, okay. Oh, I think I have to do that here as well on disconnect. Oh, here is the mistake. It's not socket, it's basically IO. It's IO. IO dot to user room and emit. IO dot to user dot emit, and then we have this message. And because we want to tell the whole basically box that this particular user has left the chat, but it should be basically this, it should be connected to this. Either we can use the broadcasting, or either we can use this two thing. So if we save that, and now let's run this whole new connection, localhost 3000, so we can see the connection and disconnection of that. H1, we have this one, localhost, let's say H2, H2, We have this joined the chat. Now if I remove that, has left the chat. Now let's do the final thing, which is sending the message. First of all, we can do that from the front end side, and then we will cover the back end side. Let's come to the chat, and here first of all let's define the method submit dot the event is equal to on submit. I can create that method here, const on submit is equal to, for now let's empty. Now let's model this. We bind this message string to this input as well. I can say v model is equal to message, and yeah, within on submit function now we can say we have to basically trigger the function. Simply I can say socket dot value dot emit, I can say chat message, and then within that I can simply send the message dot value just. And after that, what should I do? I can wait for that, await, so it should be async. I can say await next tick is basically we have to import that from the view. Yeah, not this one. I can copy that. It should not be from the process, it should be from the view. And basically once we are done with the DOM update, we should use the next tick. What should we do? We should just empty our string. What should I do? I just have to say message dot value should be equal to empty string. Yeah, let's save that. Yeah, it's quite simple. We are triggering this event chat message from the front end side. Now let's come to this here, and within the connection between these two, what should I do? Here I can say socket dot on. Basically we are listening that chat message, and in chat message I am receiving message. Message is basically simple string. I will receive that. Now what should I do? First of all, let's get the user, from where I get that. How I can get the user? Let's create that function. For that I can say export function get current user, and here I'm passing the ID, and let's return users dot find user dot ID is equal to ID. Return that user, and I can copy that, and I can come here and let's simply paste that here. Get current users, and within that first of all let's get the user. How? Const user is equal to get current user, and I can pass the socket dot ID. We will get the current user. Now I can say send the some kind of notification to those. So here I will say io dot to user dot room dot emit. What should be the emit? Message. So message, and we should format the message, and within the format message first of all I will pass the user dot username, current username, and second thing will be the message. We will listen to this message, and then we will again trigger, we will basically, the purpose of this line it is to tell other members of this, this room that you guys have a new message. First of all, I'm sending the message from the client end side, right? And then I'm listening to that thing here, and then here I am telling each other client that you guys have a new message. Now let's save that and hopefully everything will work. Let's create the new client localhost, and the room name is basically view installation, so it should be that h2. Yeah, now we have that. Now let's send the message, hello h2. Okay, this is working. Yeah, this is working. Now let's send from here, hello h1. Oh, we have h1. Now let's join from the another room. So let's see what will happen. We should not get that message here because it's totally a different room and different thing. So if I give view guide and h1 join, see, I have nothing here, I have nothing here. But if I join another user by using this group, view guide h2, now we have that. So our application is working. I tried my best to explain each and everything. I hope you guys learned something new. So please let me know if you want kind of full stack clone of this whole thing. We should have authentication, proper backend database. So if you want to do some kind of messenger clone or WhatsApp clone, please let me know. I will create that. Please like the video, share the video, and subscribe my YouTube channel. Bye bye.